Virgin Islanders continue to be concerned about that particular topic as it relates to the PFA, which is the Public Finance Authority. And I repeat, the Virgin Islands Public Finance Authority. And we're discussing that again this morning because I think there's just a few items that we did not cover. Just go moving along and some updates for you guys this morning. I had the opportunity. I skipped over to Puerto Rico and was in Puerto Rico, and I was paying attention closely to something in particular, and that's the advertisements for Liberty. Liberty, who have bought out AT&T, U.S. Virgin Islands, and I believe Puerto Rico, and they've become such a dominant force now that it's really interesting how the rates that they offer there in Puerto Rico versus what is being offered here in the U.S. Virgin Islands. And I'm wondering when the level of competition is going to raise that serves in the best interest of Virgin Islanders. And I'm talking about, in particular, not only just telephone service and TV service, but I'm speaking about internet service. And while I'm not able to show you guys exactly what I'm talking about, but I was in Puerto Rico and I noticed that they have packages that is 300 megs. And I'm going to repeat again, 300 megs with 10 megs upload. And I guess the differential is the downloads, or I get downloads and uploads. Downloads, I think it's 10, but it's 300 meg packages for $87. That's interesting. I'm paying over $100 for a 50 meg. And many of you out there know exactly what I'm talking about. And you see, internet service in this day and age is so important, as a lot of the younger people get involved in trade, but also conduct business over the internet. And there's a lot of, internet and bandwidth out there that is needed for people to be able to conduct their business effectively. So I'm going to just elaborate a little bit more on that and tie it in to another issue that should be of importance to the people of the Virgin Islands. Moving along on these updates, I know that I had an opportunity to watch an interview of the Attorney General, who seems to still be on the trail of this Epstein case that continues to loom, not just stateside, but in the U.S. Virgin Islands. And I'm wondering what is going to happen to that Epstein Island, whether or not the Virgin Islands government will assume control ownership, or the victims and the state of New York is going to be able to assume some kind of interest, and I know to satisfy all those involved in that case, the victims in particular, and any potential settlements, they may want to liquidate the assets to make sure and ensure that all those victims are compensated fairly. But I applaud the Attorney General if she's vigilantly moving on this and intend to really address the issue even for the enablers and bring them forth to answer questions about the role that they played in this whole human trafficking and sex for money and all that type of minors. So it's going to be interesting how this whole thing evolve. Moving along, it's political season. And Virgin Islanders, you can start to get your popcorn and drinks, whether it's Coke, Sprite, whatever it is. But prepare yourself for political season. I believe right after Carnival is going to ramp up to the point that you're going to start seeing things that you've never seen in the political climate. But then again, I have to retract that, because you've just about seen everything when it comes to politics in the Virgin Islands. And I certainly have experienced the unexpected here in politics in the U.S. Virgin Islands. And, I'm going to lay it all on the table to at least be able to share with Virgin Islanders who care to hear about my experiences leading up to this campaign season and just watching how some political pundits have started to hover over people's respective campaigns, what may have transpired between a potential running mate and myself. But I'm going to lay it all on the table because I think it's important that you understand the nature of the politics in the Virgin Islands. And if we're going to continue to accept and allow the flaunting directly in our faces, then we're asking for punishment. Because you see, when folks, and I'm talking about certain politicians, exhibit a treacherous way in applying politics, it's a dangerous thing, because once they assume office, you know, they're willing to go to any extreme and perhaps to the ultimate extremes to protect what is considered to be their interests. But we're going to get to that at the appropriate time, and I'm going to reserve one of my Monday morning programs to just lay it all out for you in a sequence of events and what actually transpired, even with me trying to position myself, trying to prepare myself to determine whether or not I would run for governor or not run for governor, and give you some of the names of the players who somehow wanted to interrupt, derail, and shape Virgin Islands history for Virgin Islanders. And I keep telling Virgin Islanders, I keep saying to you, the public, whether you choose, you want to hear it or you don't want to hear it, it's not about how you feel about me personally. It's about what is right before your very eyes. And whether or not you want to continue to allow this paradigm, and I'm talking about Virgin Islanders collectively, whether you want to allow the paradigm to continue. Because you see, you got some folks who unfortunately are building what they call generational wealth on the backs of the people of the Virgin Islands. And it's happening over and over and over, and they will do anything, it's almost by any means necessary, to maintain what they have, because they're not going to give it up. They're not going to give it up. They're not going to give it up for anything. And I understand, you know, the extremes that they're willing to go to, what they're willing to do. And as I said, it's unfortunate that we sit idle and we allow what is taking place to take place. But that's going to be a subject, like I said, I'm going to reserve a Monday into the very near future to really explain to you and lay it out for you a sequence of events that took place. And you know, I've always felt, and I'm quite sure that you feel the same, that men will be men and boys will be boys. And you know, sometimes it's be careful what you ask for, because you just might get it. And when you jump into the realm of politics in the Virgin Islands today, in this day and age, it's a contact sport now. And unfortunately, like I said, some people would be willing to go to some serious extremes to either achieve what they want to achieve or protect what they have and what they continue to do. But I'm going to reserve that one. Now, I asked a question the other day of a couple of people, because a couple of people came to me and asked me, and these are Virgin Islanders, they asked me, how many carnivals are we going to have? And I was quite perplexed. I was not sure what they were asking me in terms of how many carnivals we're going to have. No, it appears that the VI Carnival Committee is going to have carnival activities, and the Division of Festivals and Carnivals are going to have some activities for the festivities. And I haven't been able to look at the respective schedules to see if anything is conflicting, but I would hope that somewhere along the line they have found a way to start to collaborate with each other and develop schedules. And even if the Virgin Islands Carnival Committee, which is a bona fide organization with trade names that is duly or legally registered, and they may have a lot of proprietary information and properties that others may not be able to use without permission. But that's another issue that is going to become the topic of discussion moving into the month of April. We're only 1 month away, folks, and we could expect 2 carnivals or 2 sets of carnival activities, because I'm not going to say 2 carnivals. I just believe that 2 organizations are going to be having activities simultaneously, and we hope that they're not conflicting with each other, because what it actually does is diminishes the quality of carnivals that Virgin Islanders may be treated to or may experience. Now, remember I mentioned to you about internet service and bandwidth. This week, I actually commented on something that I heard. It's looming, and it's going to be a proposal before the Senate, where the Senate is going to consider legislation to allow or to amend an existing agreement for the development of the horse racing facilities, where you would have one that's serving as an investor in Southland Gaming, and the other operating or managing the racing facilities as an operator. I'm looking forward to see if this is going to actually move forward, because now you have VIGL, and these 2 entities went through what I consider to be a grueling process in a court system, where Southland Gaming filed a case against the government, saying that the government may have interfered with their exclusivity. The exclusivity in what? The exclusivity in VLTs, video lottery terminals, where when you go throughout the Virgin Islands, you have these video lottery terminals, and Southland Gaming basically was indicating to VIGL that you cannot put these VLTs on the racing tracks or in the racing facility, because they have the exclusivity to having VLTs, video lottery terminals, in the Virgin Islands. Well, here is the thing that we have to look at now. And I'm hoping that the legislature, because I know some of them are listening to me this morning, that they're paying close attention and perhaps embark on some in-depth research. Because let me give you some timelines. Here it is. An entity received exclusivity or a franchise for internet gaming in 2000, the year 2000, folks. And I want you to pay attention to this timeline. In the year 2000, and then the government decides, because there were some issues with internet gaming, there were some issues presented by the federal government, that they had not made a determination whether or not internet gaming would be legal, which included sports betting. And in that, with the passage of that legislation, the proponents of the legislation are the ones who establish clear intent. So the clear intent for them in 2000 was the approval of an initiative that granted internet gaming license franchise to one entity in 2000. Now, internet gaming, and I want you to pay close attention to the term internet gaming, which included sports betting, because all the senators on the floor, the majority of them commented and they said they look forward to sports betting. So that was clear. It included sports betting, internet gaming. So now here comes in 2001, Southland Gaming got authorization from the Senate. And at the time, I realized when I went back and did research that Southland Gaming was venturing, yes, VLTs, video lottery terminal, but it's a form of internet gaming. They're driven by internet. And most of the passage or the programming is all done internet. So now, if we're talking about exclusivity on internet gaming, VLTs included, sports betting, it would seem to me that this entity that got it in 2000 have exclusivity and would be vested if they spent money for the development of the internet gaming that I understand has been blocked on many occasions after a license was issued. Folks, I want you to follow me on this one now. So now you got a situation where the legislature is trying to form or pass legislation to allow for a partnership between Southland Gaming and VIGL. And it would seem to me that if they do some research, they would discover that you would have to incorporate another party that may very well have the exclusivity. The exclusivity on internet gaming, the exclusivity on sports betting, the exclusivity period. So now here we go. That if you ignore that, the legislature now could potentially end up in a district court trying to defend themselves on how they disenfranchise an entity who had exclusivity by interfering with the conditions of their franchise agreement. So now we are going to clearly see, and you know the governor knows. The governor knows of this issue. And I'm hoping that, like I said, that the church, that they all get together, collaborate, cooperate, and ensure that you're not disenfranchising anyone who has a vested interest. And I'm talking about an entity that spent, I understand, over $1 million trying to develop this thing and still cannot get full cooperation in establishing it. You just can't go and pass something else and infringes. So guess what? That first party, because I'm going to call them the first party, who has the exclusivity, now can go to the district court and establish a claim that they have exclusivity and they are vested, and then let the government determine how they're going to cure that issue. Horse owners, horse racing enthusiasts have waited so long. And these set of games that is being played with folks, to me, they're operating capriciously, maliciously, and recklessly in this pursuit. So let's hope they can get it right. If you want to enlist my services just for my own personal opinion and research, I have no problems with that. Because once it's able to advance one of our wealthiest traditions, horse racing, I have no problems with it. I grew up, and ironically, Mozako, who passed a few days ago, I don't know if many of you know that he used to be a jockey. He used to be the one that used to go to work the horses. But that, we're going to come back to this particular issue in the next few weeks, because I think it's all relevant. And don't be surprised if a claim is filed in the district court. Should the legislature make the wrong move, and should the governor, knowing, proceed and make this situation even more complicated than it is. Because then I'm going to have to conclude that that was willful. That was really willful. So we'll come back to it in a few weeks. This morning, I just wanted to dive into the issue of the PFA again. And, I already mentioned and closing off on the issue of this internet gaming and making a comparison between, internet service on the island of Puerto Rico and St. Thomas. If Liberty is offering 300 megs to households in Puerto Rico, and as much as 600 megs in Puerto Rico, we hope that the U.S. Virgin Islands is not too far behind. We're hoping that maybe Via step up the game, make it more affordable, give the people at the Virgin Islands faster speeds. Because when we have the opportunity to go abroad And we're seeing what people are paying abroad, $39 for 100 megs. The average consumer, the average customer, don't know the difference between what the companies on the state side encounter, and I'm talking about the different tiers of costs versus the U.S. Virgin Islands. And I don't want to get and dive in to level 3 and all of that stuff on the fees that you're paying and all of that. I'm just more interested in sharing with the public what exists out there and to sort of prod the Public Service Commission to maybe get involved and start asking these pertinent questions and ultimately try to see how we could improve the quality of internet service for all Virgin Islanders and have higher bandwidth for businesses. I'm talking about the doctor's offices, the stores, the attorney offices, all of them folks that use the internet, depend on the internet for several things. Let's hope that it can improve, and it can improve soon. Because I'm telling you, it's not something that some of us who even look at trading and trying to learn the art of trading, to go on the internet and know that we're milliseconds or minutes behind our stateside counterparts who are trying to invest in the stock market and stuff, or even companies who are processing credit cards. We want to make sure that we're in the 21st century and not in the 19th century. We have to really progress. So, folks, this morning, and you know the lines are always open up here. I wanted to start talking about the PFA, the Public Finance Authority, and I believe it was last week I mentioned about the Public Service Commission and what their purpose is, how it was established, how it was created, who chairs the Public Finance Authority, and that being the governor that actually chairs the Public Finance Authority, the board, that is. And of course, that is a lot of influence over all the companies that provide services to the Public Finance Authority. And maybe even leverage with contracting whoever they want to contract. You see, when that entity was created, it was created under, I believe it was Alexander Farley. And Farley knew exactly how he wanted to use it. And I believe that he used it consistently. But over the years, it has evolved and may have evolved going the wrong direction. And there's going to be some questions that I'm going to ask on the record. And for many of you, it may sound like I'm speaking in parables. But I know exactly what I'm asking, and I know exactly what I will be saying. And you know, some of the questions that we have to ask it again, and I repeat this, what is the purpose of the Virgin Islands Public Finance Authority, the PFA? What is the mission of the PFA? Has funds been misused? And I can take you back to an audit, I believe it was in 2017, when they spoke of millions of dollars being misused or unaccounted for, or whatever other description they want to give it. And I heard in pre-audits or audits where they're saying that, or they said that the PFA lacked capacity. How could the PFA lack capacity in managing funds when you have companies like Ernst & Young, BDO, Witt O'Brien, who manages the projects, the capital projects? When you have companies like that in the midst, how is it possible that you lack capacity? And those are questions that many of us beg to ask. I ask it all the time. You know, does the internal auditors provide accurate reporting? Because remember, if an auditor is hired by the Public Finance Authority, the governor, and they come back providing deficiencies after deficiencies or anything that would make them look like they're derelict in their duties, don't you think it becomes an issue for the person in charge, the person who is making the decisions relative to the Public Finance Authority? Of course. So that accounting firm will not be there too long should they choose to provide something, especially if it's fair, that discloses a lot of deficiencies in that system, in that accounting, in that system's accounting practices. And let me label it as the organization, the PFA. And then you have the subsidiaries, folks. The PFA have ensured that they funded different entities, and they're managing from VIGN to WICO, and I believe another third entity that they actually fund and is supposed to report to them. And then let me not forget the Kings Alley Management Inc., who's also supposed to be a subsidiary under the Public Finance Authority. And the question that you have to ask is, are they performing? What does the portfolio say? What is the return on the investment? What grades are they receiving relative to how they're functioning? And like I said, ultimately, whether or not they're functioning effectively and ensuring a significant return to the coffers. And then another question I ask is the PFA fully transparent? Because I'm hearing stories after stories. I thought, and I identified a couple contracts in particular. And the question that I would ask is, can any Virgin Islander go to the PFA, meet with whoever they have to meet with, get a contract, and structure the contract to be disseminated through a second party to facilitate money to a third party? I have to call Social Security and IRS to ask them if all of this is legal. Because a lot of Virgin Islanders have come to me and asked me if this is something that is legal and if they could do it as well. So I think it's a question that a lot of people would be asking as well. Well, folks, I'm not in a soapbox this morning. I'm just sharing with you facts. And, you know, talking about the Virgin Islands Finance Authority, the PFA, and I refer to it as the authority. It is an organization that was created again, and I will regurgitate this from last week's program. It was created by Act number 5365 as a public corporation and autonomous governmental instrumentality operating on behalf of the government of the United States Virgin Islands. Its primary duties are: 1, to aid the government of the United States Virgin Islands in the performance of its fiscal duties. 2, to raise capital, public or private, for essential public projects. And 3, to create programs and enter into contracts which will support the financing needs of the government, promote economic recovery, and contribute to the stability of the territory's economy. So now, when these contracts are being granted or awarded, these consulting contracts, that is unexplained, but then you find out the nature of those contracts. It leaves you to ask the question whether or not it is in all fairness to all Virgin Islanders, and whether there is equity in the way that you establish these employment relationships and persons not being subject to paying taxes, to paying Social Security, just like you and I. And you know, I'm going to get deeper into this as this program progresses, because remember, I just shared with you, I will lay it all on the table and give you a lot of facts about a lot of different things, because I think that the government, and I say the entire government, but the Public Finance Authority is something that needs to be carefully scrutinized. Unless those who are in the position to scrutinize it want to play along to get along. That's another story. But I think that for many of you, you would want to know exactly what's going on with a lot of things. And you see, well, they may try to structure to have a program after my program to try to counteract. I'd say to them, just be careful in how you position yourself, because you might be putting yourself in a line of some fire. Because I've always said, my commitment is to the people of the Virgin Islands to lend my voice, to call a spade, to share with Virgin Islanders what is actually going on, regardless. And that I do, whether people choose to question it, because I've had a person, an individual, I remember one time question whether or not I do have or possess a certification in parliamentary procedure. I had to present the certificate for them, and they went silent. I understand that just the other day, they made a remark about something I said on the radio about a certification in city management. So I have to present that for them as well? Well, I don't think so, but I'm willing to avail myself and provide evidence of anything that I say here on the radio. And I'm quite sure that each and every one of you know that. But folks, I'm going to open up the lines now and allow for folks to call in and share with us your perspective on anything or ask any questions. The topic this morning is the PFA. The number to call here at WSTA is 340-774-1340. And that's WSTA. I know that some of you tried to call in. I'm not sure. I'd have to ask the engineer over there, Peter, if he's around, if those calls are not coming into the studio, because I just received a message, but I'm not getting any calls here in the studio, which is Studio B this morning. And I'm not sure if the calls are not being routed or what's going on. But again, the number to call here is 340-774-1340, live here on WSTA with Connect the Dots. Okay, the first call is coming in. Let me go to the first call. Good morning, you're on the air, Connect the Dots.
Can I speak to someone in the office?
Okay, you'll have to call back because you're calling into a live program. And I could try to transfer it, but I don't know. I don't want to cut you off. But if you call back, you're on the air. You're on the air with Connect the Dots.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, thank you. Sorry about that. You know, this thing with the Public Finance Authority, of course, I know it begs and people would beg to defer on certain things. Good morning, you on the air, Connect the Dots.
Yes, good morning, Connect the Dots. How are you doing, Senator? How are you doing?
I'm great, I'm blessed, thank God. How are you?
I'm hanging in there, man, hanging in there. Waiting in that queue is a trip, boy. But look, I was calling because I was trying to comment regarding the PFA. You still on that topic?
Yeah, we're still on that topic.
Okay, good. When you said that about the capacity, you mind expanding on that a little bit so I could get some clarification on that?
Yes, sure. I believe that when the federal government highlighted in an audit in the past that the territory lacked capacity in some respective areas, like, for example, HUD, in the area of housing in the Virgin Islands, and they say that we lack capacity. I believe they're talking about structure, they're talking about personnel, and they're talking about overall expertise to really handle the money. So they had broken down in that area in what you call tranches, which is portions of money and not all. Now, with the Public Finance Authority, you have Ernst & Young, which is a accounting firm. You got BDO, who is an accounting firm as well as provide multiple services. So when they say that they lack some capacity, I'm unclear on what capacity they're talking about. Are they talking about the
Right.
lack accountants?
Right.
Are they talking about the lack managers? Are they talking about, I'm not sure which respective area.
Right, because I know that when I hear Public Finance Authority, just
Yeah.
based on the words alone, to me it says we finance public affairs, public
Correct.
project, public endeavors. So if that's what it means, and they are not doing those things, because across the board, we know the situations of the schools for decades, the roads for decades, the power grid for decades. What is their function?
Yeah.
What is their function as an entity if you are a public finance authority? That is my dilemma, because
Yeah.
I don't understand how we can have a broken power system, road system that's non-existent, and I'm glad to see some layers of tar being put on several roads. I understand St. Croix have some projects over there at this time, but look at our infrastructure, and if the PFA is designed by that according, and I'm glad you mentioned thoroughly, and I think you said it was conceived and came about during his tenure. I just can't imagine what it has done proportion to its name in this last period of time. I don't see the functionality of it. I don't see. We have the highest power electric cars bill under the U.S. flag. We have some of the worst roads in the whole Caribbean. What is the purpose of the Public Finance Authority in general? What is it? What do you do? What it is that you're supposed to. What is your bylaws and your working framework to function? What's tangible that people can see in the Virgin Islands as to your duty for decades? This ain't no overnight issue I'm talking about, and you're talking about. We're talking about years of, okay, what do you do?
Yeah.
What do you do?
Well, and it's rather unfortunate, and I keep saying it's unfortunate because when you're going to tout that you have $5.6 billion in the Virgin Islands, you could have probably put computers and a whole set of stuff in every single household when you're talking about that type of money based on our current population. But we know it was not for that. But what is disheartening is that when you look at programs like the home repair program, people going through a hurricanes, 2 Category 5 hurricanes, that people experience severe damages to their homes. If they didn't lose their rooftop, the structures are completely compromised. And you look at companies that are serving as consultants, making more money, way more than the money that is distributed to the people that should be the rightful benefactors. You have to wonder and ask yourself sometime, do these folks have their priorities all screwed up? Because we should not, in 2022, be driving around here and just watching so many people with rooftops that are blue, tops on the rooftops. So I could go on and on with roads, and I don't think that the roads are being repaired at a reasonable rate or pace. But anyway, there's more people trying to call in, and I want to give everyone an opportunity. Okay?
For sure. All right.
Okay,
Have a
thanks.
blessed one.
You as well. Thanks for calling. Good morning. You're on the air. Connect the dots.
Hey, good morning.
Morning.
I want to change up the topic a little bit.
Sure.
I wanted to call and ask you about the new Department of Health Information Technology. I don't know if you read about it, but it said that it will be placed under the office of the governor as opposed to being under the Department of Health. And I have some questions because I want to know, why would the new Department of Health Information Technology be placed under the office of the governor? This gives total access to people's personal health records, and it's an easy way for them to breach and violate HIPAA, you know. And the question I have is, who is to stop any governor from accessing people's personal medical records with this office placed underneath the auspices of the office of the governor as opposed to under the Department of Health, which has to adhere to the laws and the rules and the regulations governing the people's personal business, their personal records. You know, this is an information technology department that houses your medical records, houses anything about you that other practitioners, medical practitioners, they're going to be submitting all of your data to this department. And practitioners from across the nation can actually access, or these records are easily retrievable. So what's your take on that?
Well, if that is transpiring, that's a very dangerous thing they're doing. I would hope, first of all, I'm kind of perplexed that even the office of the governor would want to assume so many different roles. Because I understand, and I was told that even with the facilitation of contracts, that he's serving as the governor's office is serving as part of the procurement process as well, where commissioners now, some commissioners may not be required to sign off on contracts, that it would go to government house for them to sign off on the contract. That's a very dangerous thing to toy in with. Coming back to what you're talking about, I'm sure that the respective federal departments might be listening and could intervene. Because if they are accessing people's medical records, and I don't want to speculate, I don't want to guess, but if they have access to people's medical records and should use that for any other purpose outside of what that information is supposed to be stored for, and they breach Virgin Islanders' confidentiality, then they're going to become extremely liable, and it may very well be an instance where they could be prosecuted for something that is deemed criminal. So I would hope that that is not the case. I will do my own research to determine whether or not that change took place and see if they're forthcoming with me and share with me exactly what is the purpose of gaining that type of access, that of people's medical records.
Yeah, please do, because you know, when we setting up structures and processes, specifically in a government entity or government setting, they have to be set up appropriately and as they should be, because you have individuals that may misuse and mismanage information for their own personal gain. Specifically, you know, in our community, I'm going to just go here. In our community, we got people, we already have confidentiality issues, okay? We already have people medical business all over the place, okay? So to put something like this under the office of the governor as opposed to under the Department of Health, you know, or even we have a Bureau of Information Technology. What happened to BIT? You know, what about even something like this, you know, in conjoinment with the Department of Health and BIT as opposed to under the office of the governor? The governor is not going to be there forever and a day. So what happened to the next governor coming in and the next governor coming in and the next governor coming in? Too many people are going to have accessibility to these things. One more thing I want to ask you about, what's your take on this Madras situation where they copyrighted the Madras and they're saying that, you know, people that are using the Madras for commercial purposes or whatever it is, business purposes, are going to be issued a cease and desist order. And the question I have is, you're copyrighting a piece of cloth, right? And you saying that this represents Virgin Islanders as a whole. The flag represents us as a whole. We have a flag that represents us as Virgin Islanders. That's number one. Number two, why are you monetizing and crippling the people of the Virgin Islands and trying to stagnate them at every point? Why? And number three, my thing is when you copyright this Madras, what happened to the people that's been using the Madras before you even came up with this brilliant idea? What happened to them? What happened to the monies that they have expended and the businesses that they are running that incorporate the Madras? VI Pride is a strong thing. Why are you crippling VI Pride? Thank you. Bye.
Okay, bye-bye. Thanks for calling. I'm not familiar with that particular issue about copyrighting the Madras outfit. I know that you have some other Eastern Caribbean islands or other islands that as part of their culture, dance routines that they use the Madras for dance routine, even in commercials. I've seen Dominica in the past have commercials promoting their destination using the Madras and other destinations doing the same. So I'm not sure if that is going to be achievable. If they have achieved it, was it achieved locally here in the U.S. Virgin Islands, that they filed with the Office of Corporations and Trademarks to copyright something like that, or they copyrighted with the National Registry, and what entity would have filed for that copyright? That's an interesting topic. I've never heard that. I know that much to his credit, it was Sean Malone that had offered legislation with Quailby, and I think he had offered something with the Madras as well, but I'm not sure about that. I'll have to go back and do some research to confirm those particular, specific things in that legislation. But if that is becoming an issue, I'm with the caller. I don't understand how anyone is going to copyright Madras that people been using from back in the 1800s. I'm not sure how you're going to copyright it and deny folks the opportunity of being able to use it, whether it's for promotional purposes, which is what I understood from the caller. I just don't understand how that is going to work out. I mean, it's bad enough that you have an issue right now with the VI Carnival Committee still owning the trade names, and the Office of Festivals and Carnivals using material that was born by the organization, the Virgin Islands Carnival Committee. I'm wondering how these entities have been interacting and what is to become of it. But Carnival belongs to the people of the Virgin Islands, and we would hope that nothing interferes with one of our richest tradition and cultures. One of our richest traditions in having Carnival. I think it's approaching the 70th year in one respect, and I think it's the 70th that they're celebrating this year. But I'm not an expert on that particular issue with the Madras, so I'm going to yield to someone else should someone else call in and provide a history. I think someone who would have been able to probably provide us with some history is the Stalliard, Alphonse Stalliard. So if he's listening, maybe he could put this in some perspective for us, if he could call in. And anyone wishing to call, the lines are open for anyone to call and share their perspectives with us, because I'm not an expert on this area, so I would yield to those who would know a lot more about not the history of the Madras necessarily, but about whether or not it's being advanced or copyrighted at this time to deny usage on particular fronts. Good morning, you're on the air, connect the dots.
Okay, I just had to call back in, right?
Sure.
And clarify. It says, the VI Department of Planning and Natural Resources said Tuesday that anyone who uses the official VI Madras commercially without a license from the VI Council of the Arts will be issued a cease and desist order. DPNR Commissioner Jean-Pierre Oriel said that the official Virgin Islands Madras fabric as per Act number 8424 is the official property of the government of the Virgin Islands. As such, the VI Madras fabric's identity has been copyrighted and is protected. The VI Council on the Arts, a division of DPNR, is the custodian of this material. Therefore, all persons must obtain a license from VICA to utilize the VI Madras material commercially. So, my concern was people were utilizing this VI Madras before this copyright. People have invested money. People have businesses running, not only in the Virgin Islands, but nationally. And how are you going to hold these businesses that are nationally utilizing the VI Madras accountable? That's number one. Number two, why are you equating the VI Madras to saying this is what unifies or ties the people? What unifies or ties us should be the United States Virgin Islands flag. And we as a people should have the right to use the Madras freely and without having to pay a price to the government of the Virgin Islands. Are you going to hold a national corporation that may see the Madras and pick it up and use it for any purpose? Are you going to hold them accountable? How are you going to fight them over a piece of fabric?
Well,
that's the question.
And you got a point there. And like I said, I'm not an expert on this particular issue, and that may have been an article that I missed. I would hope, and I think that I have respect for Commissioner Oriel, and I would hope that he clearly has, the information at his fingertips, and all the legislation that he is referencing gives them the authority, along with the other entity, the authority to really not just identify the specific Madras coordination that they're talking about, because like I said, I know that other islands are using or have what they refer to as Madras attire. And I'm wondering, how do you copyright that? Is it being copyrighted? I guess that's foreign, but is it being copyrighted for the United States in the United States registry? And would that restrict all the other Eastern Caribbean islands from playing their commercials nationally on national TV? You realize how far-reaching that could be?
Yeah, and then another thing is, it not only how far-reaching it could be, but another thing is, there was a quote here from a lady that says, we wanted the Madras to be that symbol to represent who we are as a people to the fabric, and while that's commendable, and I could understand us having a fabric that unifies us as a people, having our own Madras as opposed to wearing, Madras period. Like you say, the flexibility and the freedom to use the Madras. Now, I could see if they had embed USVI someplace, and it's just fabric. It's just colors. It's just fabric. Anybody can buy fabric.
Well, here's going to be my final comment on that. If the U.S. Virgin Islands file for copyright, and no one else has filed for copyright, and the U.S. government does not identify a reason they cannot file for copyright, and they achieve the copyright, then guess what? We got ahead of the 8 ball, and we have protected what is considered to be part of a Virgin Islands history, our tradition, but a trademark that we have here in the U.S. Virgin Islands in our Madras coordination.
And what is a patent? I mean, what's the difference between a patent and a copyright? So that's something else too. But I just wanted to know, and I would like to hear more about this copyright from DPNR or even VI Council on the Arts. If you could invite them on your show to give us more and to just let us know what are the fees then that individuals, local Virgin Islanders who wish to utilize the Madras for their commercial purposes, what are the fees that they would have to pay, number one?
Yeah.
And do they think that this would actually restrict Virgin Islanders? Do they have to apply every year, to have this license to use the Madras? What's the process? We need more. This just like packs up and yeah. So thank you.
Okay, thanks for calling. Yeah, this program, we try our best to entertain people concerns, and that's a valid concern in terms of the copywriting and people not being able to use. But like I said, if the commissioner, if the legislature, because it was based on an act that was passed, if the legislature established that and granted the Department of Plan and Natural Resources that level of authority with the Council on the Arts, and they got ahead of the 8 ball, and we were able to copyright that, then that's a victory for them on a lot of levels. So I'm going to try to see if I could do some research on that to find out exactly what has transpired in that respect. Let me go to the last call. Good morning, you on the air, Connect the Dots.
Good morning, Fancy.
Morning.
I have a next question to back up what you and the young lady is there saying, but I'm going to take it on a whole other different tone. When you looking at the Madras, right, and we here now trying to have this Madras as our own, and have it written in document form. My thing is, we have a lot of people making dolls with the Madras and books where they have the Madras fabric on the cover or inside of the book. And what's going to happen to those people and their products? And we also have certain people that took the Madras and use it to wrap their spices or their pepper bottle caps and stuff in the Madras with a little hat on it. And what's going to happen to these people's business now when you're trying to look at business, commercial business in general? If I want to have a Madras fax, or me personally wearing a Madras shirt, am I going to have to also go and get these things sanctioned by the government because I'm using the Madras to make these things for my commercial, personal use or commercial use?
Yeah. And you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I mean, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, so it's taking us into a whole new ball game. It's not just a material just for a dance wear, but people use the Madras for several different things. And then now, suppose one of these nice shoe companies want to take the Madras material and make some nice, fancy, expensive, beautiful shoes.
Well, it's going to be interesting, but because let me tell you about copywriting, trademark. Even if a person had embarked on something and may have had a logo, had a slogan, or whatever it is, that they did not copyright, and somebody go and copyright it, trademark a design, it is when the registry establish that trademark. So it doesn't matter who was doing it before. So I'm reading between the lines now. The previous caller indicated that, and she read the article from I guess it was from one of the newspapers, and she said that the department said that they had to get a permit from the Council on the Arts. So that's a way for the government to generate revenues from people using it. Now, you're absolutely right in asking the question, what happens to the people that already have products that they have marketed and maybe have in little stores? Will they have now to step back go to the Council on the Art now to ask for permission, although they were selling from before and they had these products from before. Are they going to be grandfathered in? What? You know, it seemed like it's going to be confusing.
And it won't be as confusing if you use the law. The law, and I think it varies in different places, but when you're using a material like this that has been widely used, internationally known in different products, different places, because Jamaica, Barbados,
okay,
some of the French places, they
sorry,
all use
sorry to
these
interrupt you.
different.
Sorry to interrupt you. I'm out of time. And I just looked at the clock and it's actually past 10 o'clock. I mean 11 o'clock. And I'm 10 to 11. So we'll take up some of this discussion at the next broadcast, which is next Monday. And I'll broach the topic again. I'll try to see what type of information I can gather and at least be able to share it with you guys in a follow-up on this discussion. But I'm down to the end of the hour. Okay?
Definitely. This is important to the people of the Virgin Islands right now.
I fully agree with you. Fully agree with you. Okay. Thank you.
Care.
Well, folks, I'm down to the end of the hour. I'm sorry I've even gone over the respective time allotted to me. So anyway, I want to say to each and every one of you that's been listening to the program to have a great day, but a productive week. Have a blessed week to each and every one of you. This is Adela Fonsi Donestog signing out until next Monday, that you could tune in to Connect the Dots, same time, 10 to 11 a.m. on Monday mornings. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Please log in to your mobile phone, television, computer.
It's Catch of the Day. From the water to the pot to your mouth, everything is fresh at Catch of the Day, located on Cookie Point Beach. Enjoy some of your favorite seafood dishes, fresh catch, lobster, tang, and whelks, when in season, as well as surf and turf. They cater to your wishes. While you sit and wait for your food, enjoy the friendly bar and bask in the ambience that is second to none. Enjoy the white sand, sun, and crystal blue water. We are sure the experience will be unique. Monday through Sunday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Come and enjoy Catch of the Day on Cookie Point Beach.
You've been working, but you're flirting with the weekend. You can freak out. 1 in a million. You're a gem, shine when the light grows dim. Sing 1, 2, 3, 4. Cause no one can do it like we do it, like we do it, like we do it. Cause no one can do it like we do it, like we do it, like we do it. Cause no one can do it like we do it, like we do it, like we do it. Cause no one can do it like we do it, like we do it, like we do it.